You want to lead your business, your family, and your life strong. But what happens when your energy crashes at 2 p.m., that afternoon slump? What happens when your confidence dips with your fitness? You can't build a powerful life in a weak body. Today, we are going to talk about how physical strength isn't just about aesthetics, but it's the base layer of how you lead, perform, and show up. It is Tuesday night. It is the Fit Fatherhood Podcast. I am your co-host, Zach Bush, along with my other wonderful co-host, 𝐜𝐴𝐚𝐤. How we doing?
I think fantastic, man. It's good to have you back. As we were saying before we started here, it was weird doing it last week without you, but I think I did pretty well. It's not my first rodeo, but my first Fit Fatherhood rodeo. So yeah, I'm glad to have you back. This is a topic that we've talked about, kind of time and time again, that it's not fitness changes when you become a father. Let's just say that. And I actually just did a 2-minute speech about this a couple of weeks ago, that it's no longer just about the way you look in the mirror, the number on the scale, hours in the gym. It's about more. It's about the energy, the focus, the clarity, just being present. And, your body it's the foundation of all of this. We tend to think like you go work out and then you're tired afterwards, but it's a little bit of the opposite. Yeah, you get tired immediately afterwards, but it gives you this boost of energy throughout the day, and it empowers you to go forward with that clarity and that focus and just go in strong. And it's about being a leader for yourself, for your family, for those around you that are, who are entrepreneurs, the people that you're leading in your businesses and your careers, and as you're climbing the corporate ladder. Your body is this vehicle, and you don't just drive your car into the ground. You fuel it up. You change the oil in it. You do scheduled maintenance on it. That's what going to the gym is. That's what taking care of your body is. You're much more dangerous when you've done these things and you've taken care of your body. As entrepreneurs, I know that these things translate. So, what have you found? You've been doing CrossFit, nutrition coaching, and entrepreneurship for many years now. Where are your correlations? Why do you put such an emphasis on it?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me, like you said, is the body's a vehicle. You get one of them. You only get one chance at doing it right. And with modern medicine, it makes it easier to mask things and replace things, knees, hips, stuff like that. But obviously, you don't want to go through that. And to take care of your body is not just actually taking care of your body, but taking care of your mind. And that's going to take you a long way in feeling good on a day-to-day basis, but being around for a long time, which I think we all ultimately want. And the process to make that happen can be pretty boring. I wouldn't say monotonous, but it takes doing the unsexy things all the time. Things like CrossFit and F45 and stuff like that have made it more interesting, more fun, bringing the community aspect of it, doing different things like gymnastics and weightlifting and mixing all that stuff together. That's why I love it, because it keeps it from being boring. Like, if I had to just run or just bodybuild, like, that wouldn't be great for my mental capacity, but that works for anybody. As long as you're moving, that's going to build your energy. And that's the biggest thing, is like the movement and getting started. But doing that consistently over time is the biggest thing. But it's not sexy. Like, just if I posted what I worked out at every day, oh, it's pretty boring, but like, I feel good. And there is a massive difference between the days that I work out and the days that I do not work out. Unless it's a planned rest day, that's different. But like, if I miss my workout for whatever reason, or if I get sick and my workout doesn't happen, my whole day is thrown off. My mental energy isn't there. My physical energy isn't there. Just the day turns into more of a slog. And, you mentioned, how does that compare to entrepreneurship and, being a dad and all that stuff? And I think like going to the gym not only makes you healthier, but it builds the mental toughness. It helps with some of that clarity, some of that, brain fog. But it shows you that you're capable of more than you think. The days that you don't want to go to the gym, that you don't want to work out, that you don't want to work towards whatever you're working towards, the day that you do it anyway will translate to other areas in your life. The day you I don't feel like analyzing these deals. I don't feel like calling the seller. I don't feel like following up with this person. But if you do it in your health, you will more than likely build up that mental energy, that ability to overcome the resistance to do it in another area. And that can translate both ways too. It can go from, if you're somebody who's got business and entrepreneurship dialed down and you're doing the boring things consistently, you're going to build up that muscle to be able to translate it to the gym, where it's like, all right, I didn't feel like making those calls. I didn't feel like going to this meeting, I didn't meet up. I didn't feel like doing any of these things, but I did it anyway. You can translate that same thing to improving your health and fitness. And just remembering that as you go through it will help. Like, all right, I'm really solid in this. And that's something we like to look at as a whole thing, is like, all right, what areas of your life are you feeling really good in, right? There's always one that you're really doing well in. How can we take that and bring it into something else? So that's how those kind of translate from one to another, right? Just that mental toughness. The physical toughness helps too, right? Being able to grind out those long days at the office, right? All right, I can grind out a long training session. In some ways, those are easier because it's like, mental energy isn't as bad when you're working out necessarily than when you're having to be on for work all day. So kind of went off a little bit on there, but that's kind of how I think of those.
It goes both ways sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really align with, I really can relate to this, is just get started. Sometimes I find myself like, I got a really bad headache, whatever reason, I'm not feeling it, but I just go out and, I can equate to Sunday sprint days a lot. I do Sunday sprint days every week. A lot of the times it gets to we've been doing them at like 3:30, just because that's where the nap schedules are aligning. And like by 3:30, I'm like, I don't really want to go out and do this at this point. All right, just go get started. Just go start your warm-ups.
Yep.
Like, I got a really bad headache. Just go get started. And then you find 10, 15 minutes into it, the headache's gone. You're not even thinking about it anymore. You've done a 30-minute workout and you're feeling freaking invigorated. Man, I wish I just started this way sooner, And, so just like you're saying, just go do the thing, do it consistently. If you feel like it's going to suck, just go get started. Just go like wash the truck, as Brandon Turner, the old Bigger Pockets guy would say. And we don't want you to jump right into going and maybe doing the Sunday sprint day. Maybe you just start with the warm-up. So you have to start with where you're at right now. And that's such a big part of what we do with our clients is, you mentioned figuring out what area in life you're having success with, and then being able to translate in that into the other areas of life. But like, where are you with your nutrition right now? Where are you with your exercise? Are you doing anything? Or is, going out and doing a 5K right now going to be an insane thing for us to have you go do? Well, let's just go have you walk for 15 minutes, right? And you do that consistently 4 or 5 times a week, and you start getting better over time. Okay, now I can jog for 5 of those 15 minutes. And you start building on that. We start where you're at, not where you want to be. We have these goals that we want to get to, but we're not going to just jump right into that, because that's the way we hurt ourselves. And then we don't get the benefits, all those benefits that we're talking about. So, there's a lot of ways that we can get started. I mentioned going out and walking for 15 minutes, go walk for 30 minutes a day. Start. If this is very new to you, go start slow, right? Or if it's been a long time since you've exercised consistently, break into it. The goal, like you mentioned, is longevity. It's not going out and working out really hard for a week and then not being able to train for 2 weeks because we went too hard and we're sore and we can barely even get out of bed. We're trying to build this for the long run. So you can just go out and walk. You can go lift really light weights. You can go get I have some resistance bands over here. Oh, I have a freaking PT band right here. Might not be able to see it, but you can just start with using your bands and getting your muscles stretched out and starting to get resistance in the range of motion. We're not chasing volume. We're chasing consistency. So, you do the challenge this week, because I was on here solo last week. What's our challenge for this week? What are we going to challenge people to do?
Yeah. So like you said, it's
Okay.
going to be a dial, and start where you're at. And I always like to think of it as a dial. It's like the analogy is like, think of like a speaker, right? If you have a speaker and it's all the way at level 1, and if you were to play a song and go from level 1 and crank it right up to 100, you're going to blow that speaker out and it's not going to work, right? Maybe you don't completely damage it, but it's hurting. Either that or your ears really hurt, and you don't want to do that either. So what do? You take it from a 1 to a 5, right? So in a dial for movement exercise, which is going to be our challenge, is to start moving or doing something intentionally. 30 minutes a day, walk, lift, stretch, bike, whatever it is, but figure out where that is. And maybe it's not 30 minutes, maybe it's 15 minutes, but wherever you're starting, if you haven't done any movement, it doesn't even need to be gym. If you haven't even like consciously made a specific set time to go out and move, walk, whatever, then that dial is at a 1, and that's totally fine. How can we turn it to a 2, right? So is that just parking farther away from your office and walking that extra time, right? Maybe that's an extra 5 minutes. Okay, cool. Let's start with that. After you do that Monday to Friday, maybe you're parking farther away and then adding a 10-minute walk at lunch. So that's moving that dial from 2 to a 3, right? And
adjust the time you go to work.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Like plan it out, like have a plan. And right. Maybe if it's raining that day, like, walk or do extra, like figure out a way to do it. Right. Maybe you're not walking outside as much, right? Just don't find an excuse to not do it because it's hard and because you don't want to. And I think that's very easy to do. It's your natural reptilian brain being like, this is hard. You don't want to do this. You don't want to fail. You don't want to do hard. Like it's just you going back to your comfort zone. So all of that being said is figure out where your dial's at, figure out how you can turn it up 1 notch. And that's your challenge, right? If it's 30 minutes of just walking, perfect. Let's do that. If you're already doing that 3 days a week, let's add a day in there. So just add some kind of movement in there. And then for an additional little bonus, maybe you add a little bit of stretch afterwards, right? So if you walked around, maybe do a little calf stretch, or, if you're sitting at a desk all day, maybe you're doing like a doorway stretch and you're kind of just opening up that chest. Like just add that in there. Again, just a dial. If you're not doing any stretches, just 1 stretch, keep it simple. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. But that's the challenge for the week, is just take a set number of days. I say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to do 30 minutes of a walk. That can accumulate throughout the day, right? Maybe it's 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, 10 minutes at night. But just have a very regimented plan and then build in a little flexibility on there, right? It's supposed to rain here tomorrow. So if Monday, Wednesday, Friday was your plan, all right, I'm going to do it Thursday and Friday instead, right? Just know you're going to need to build in some flexibility because life happens, and we all know that. So that is your challenge for the week.
I have a bonus challenge.
Ooh, okay.
If you're not already in the Facebook group, the Fit Fatherhood Facebook group, which is linked in the show notes in the description, come into the Facebook group. We just passed 200 members of supportive, like-minded, growth-oriented dads in this group. We're at 215. I just looked. Once you're in the group, post what you're going to do. What is your notch that you're tweaking up? Is it the walking the extra 5 minutes to your work? Is it maybe taking 2 flights of stairs and then the last 3 of your elevator instead of all 5 as of the elevator? Whatever it is, come post it in the group so we can support you and we can uplift you. And we can hold you accountable to this, because that accountability piece is such an important factor of this. We have some clients that are attesting to that right now, that they're making changes in their lives because of the accountability portion that we're providing for them. Okay. So that was our shameless plug. Just remember that we're doing this for the long term. Consistent, small habits over time lead to incredible changes that you will look back 3, 6, 12 months from now and go, I am a different person than I was when I first watched that Fifth Fatherhood podcast. It was a pleasure being here. Great having you back, Zach. Did I miss anything?
No, you did such a good job by yourself last week that nothing extra this week.
That's it. I appreciate y'all for being here live. If you're watching in the future and live too. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the Fit Fatherhood channel. Currently, we're only doing the podcast on here, but we have grand visions for how we can provide more value to you. Please like the video so we can try to reach more people, and leave a comment with one takeaway. If you don't want to join the Facebook group, just leave a comment with what you're going to do this week. Peace. Peace.